picture on the front page. Can't make some of this stuff up. Triumphant entry. Succession showdown is what the Standard calls it. Kisumu roared to life as the Linda Mwananchi faction led by James Orengo, Babu Owino and Edwin Sifuna stormed the city and crushed attempts to block their rally. Crowds, overwhelmed goons, tore down barricades and cleared the way for a defiant procession. Speaker after speaker tore into the government, accusing it of failure and reigniting anti-Ruto chants. The rally revived the spirit of Raila Odinga and exposed a fierce battle for his base, leaving William Ruto and Oburu Oginga facing a restless, unconvinced stronghold. Okay, so obviously that's the story, and that's a picture. Who took this picture? I'm looking for that photographer. That's a really good picture there, obviously. But that picture tells 1,000 words. Now, can you imagine if the people in that picture did what? If the people in that picture actually, of course, we'll go into those conversations, but let's look quickly into the headlines on the Standard. Koui village in shock as bandits kill 7 residents and burn property. I had to ask myself, and from a journalistic point of view, and maybe sometimes conspiratorial, I have to ask myself, because somebody said yesterday, what is it? What is it here? Until I heard the words where somebody said yesterday, and I'm sure you know who the somebody is, when they said, usijali, tutatoa watu hapa, tutaleta wanyama hapa, alafu watu wasiishi hapa tena.
Yeah.
This place has never had such an attack.
Right.
Ever. So what now? What was it about this particular area then that would make people now attack out of the blue and kill 7? Because now all of us are wondering, oh my goodness, what is it about?
We've never had that before.
Ever. And then suddenly there's KWS.
Yes.
And then the CS is telling you that we are going to remove the people and bring animals.
Right.
I leave it to you. We will look into the story, but I leave it to Miss World in Tanzania, a lesson for Kenya. And you're asking the question, what? Tanzania's successful bid to host Miss World points to a strategic shift in East Africa's global positioning. Critics are questioning whether poor coordination, weak government support undermine Kenya's infrastructure advantage. Everybody assumed that it would be Kenya that would host this, no matter how thin you slice it. You want to say, oh, it's just beauty queen strutting on a stage? Actually, no.
Nope.
In terms of what it does for recognition,
big revenue.
It's revenue. It's people coming to your country. It's people who are vested. The beauty industry is $100 billion annual industry that a lot of people feed off of that, whether it's fashion, whether it's cosmetics, whether it's now looking at health and wellness, $100 billion a year. And all of these are linked to pageants like this. So the location matters.
Right.
And so if you didn't get it, you want to ask why, or if you want to ask why did Tanzania get it?
Get it, yeah. What did they do different?
Anti-Ruto fury fuels ODM party battle as factions storm Kisumu. Ruto says, I will not kiss your ring. I will not kneel to you. In my opinion, kind of acknowledging that there's a position of kneeling in the first place.
Yes.
It's already an admission.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
I've been asked to.
I assume that
they want me
that
to.
I recognize your position.
Yeah.
Since 2024, Ruto's been fighting for survival. Because in 2024, young people came out and told him to go home. And he has since then been regrouping.
Yeah.
What he was counting on was co-opting his main opposition contender, which he did. Now that there appears to be a youthful force that is tapping the imagination of the youthful generation who need to pick their voting cards to really be counted, now this is what is coming to bear. But he's still an incumbent. So it is not won. There's a lot of work that needs to happen, and despite I think the excitement, there's we're still talking about regional. It's a game of numbers.
Yeah.
It's also about control over the instruments of violence and coercion.
Indeed.
And if you look at the defense budget of this government, it's been increasing every year.
True.
It exceeds health. It exceeds agriculture. because government is more interested in securing, I don't know whether it's securing its people or securing itself
It's
against
securing
its people.
something.
It's securing something.
That's for sure.
So there's a lot of strategy that needs to be laid out.
All right.
Yeah.
There's a story that should concern you on page 6. Do you know what industrial sugar is? Right. There's a concern over industrial sugar entering Kenyan kitchens. Industrial sugar should not be in your kitchen, first of all. It's not the stuff that you consume every day. The diversion of industrial sugar into homes has triggered alarm over regulatory gaps and potential contamination. Health experts warn of risks linked to impurities and heavy metals, heightening concerns over food safety. The question then becomes, how can you be sure that the sugar that you're consuming in your home actually is safe? That the checks, we shouldn't actually be told this.
True.
We shouldn't be told this.
Kebs.
Thank you. You should have done
Where are
your
you?
job.
Yes.
Exactly.
You should have done your job. And we shouldn't even have to be thinking about whether there's industrial sugar in the packet that I buy in my container in my pantry.
Because every time you go to a shop to buy sugar, you trust that it has gone through the processes
Exactly.
and that the government is taking care of you.
But
It's that simple.
Guess what? Majority of Kenyans don't buy packets of sugar.
True.
So
Even the one that they
yes,
Pima
it's
or
supposed
whatever.
to be.
Yeah.
So the issue is the enforcement.
Yeah.
The issue is about the management, leadership at KEBS. It's about that regulatory framework. And I like these kind of stories because we focus a lot on various actors, but regulators in this
True.
country are a real weak point.
They're getting away with
Food
murder.
safety in this country is a major concern. And that is why we are seeing possibly why we are seeing spiking cases of cancer.
We cannot run away from the connection between the rise over the last 10 years of NCDs and what we are seeing in terms of checks and balances. We cannot. Whether it's sugar, whatever is put in preservatives, whatever is a healthy insecticides that are banned in certain parts of Europe but are still allowed into Africa. The stuff that people in Europe will never put on their skin, but is put into bottles that comes here, and that they're exactly the regulatory bodies who are very plainly not doing their job. We cannot run away from the connection between that and the spike of NCDs in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
That people who are ordinarily healthy, then in 1 year, they deteriorate and they die from cancer. That you find cancer at stage 3.
Yeah.
Because it didn't show up before that. There is a connection. And until we do something about it, people are going to continue to die. I'm sounding morbid this Monday, but that's the truth.
Yeah, but it's the reality that you're dealing with, because even now when you talk about industrial sugar getting into our kitchens, one must ask themselves, how did we end up there? It's because we killed our own manufacturing companies in the country who used to give us quality sugar that we used to consume. So today we find the country importing sugar that is not certified, that does not go through the relevant processes for it to enter our kitchens. So we still need to go back on how manufacturing becomes a key part of our economy in terms of discussions.
We did. And that only takes us to page 10 of the Standard. Having not looked at some
Is
of
it
the
more
stories
bad news, or is there hidden in there something to give us hope?
I'm sure you'll come up with, you'll give us a story in a bit once you're from the Standard. But there's more. But what I would encourage you to do is get a copy of the Standard today, get a copy of the Standard e-paper. You can do that online, and that you can have all the news in your hand, literally.